Yeah, especially with that kind of long-range shooting. I mean, that's difficult for a team to overcome.
And now the opening lineup for Boston, courtesy of State Farm. Brandon Bass and Kevin Garnett, the duo inside. Rajon Rondo is out there with Lee. And it's Pierce in at the small forward. And for the Nets, Gerald Wallace, Chris Humphries, and Brook Lopez filling out the front line. Johnson is out there with Darren Williams. Garnett kicks to Rondo. Working on Williams. 6 to shoot. Here's Bass. Back to Rondo. And they'll turn it over. Could not get off the shot. 24-second violation.
Well, there's so much excitement about the Nets' move to Brooklyn. I mean, not just locally, but really league and nationwide. I mean, Brooklyn, the largest borough in New York City with a cherished sporting history. I mean, and yet since the late 50s, no major league team to call their own. Boy, to me, it looks like a great fit for the Nets, guys.
Good point. Garnett, and a bit of a battle here for the ball. The official signals a jump ball here. Doris Burke had a chance to catch up with head coach Avery Johnson.
He talked about how they match up with a player like Paul Pierce, saying, you know, he's one of those guys who really does it all at a high level. Defend, score, you name it. I think defensively, we may look to double some and force other players to make shots. He's one of the greats. You enjoy the challenge of playing against him and just hope you can have enough to win. Guys, we'll see who carries the day.
Great. Thanks for the report, Doris. And Brooklyn, so culturally vibrant. Clark, you really nailed it with your last comment. It's been called the coolest city on the planet. And who better than Brooklyn bred and raised Jay-Z, cultural icon and part owner of the Nets, to make the introductions. That's really neat.
Sounds like a win-win flow to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he represents Brooklyn as much as any other celebrity, and he knows it. And that can only help the team's transition and integration into this community. That's right where they wanted to go with the ball on that possession.
The Brooklyn Nets come into this one after a win against Cleveland.
And their shooting percentage from that game tells the story. They got hot and they stayed hot.
I know, it was something to watch, wasn't it? I mean, I kept waiting for those guys to cool off, and it just never happened.
It's off his foot. And they're saying he kicked the ball. Garnett inside. Lopez covering. That's good.
Kevin Garnett.
First quarter of ball, almost 2.5 minutes in. Williams double team. Garnett comes over to help. So it looks like the Nets will retain possession here.
Chance here now to see how the Nets ranked in the NBA last season. 6th in free throw percentage. 18th in three-point shooting. And for team steals, a little bit to be desired there. Just made it to the top 20 in the league.
And this is a good shooting team, Clark. It really shows in their free throw percentage. You mentioned they were in the top 10 in terms of free throw percentage as a team last year. And I think it's important for this club to really attack offensively. When they do get to the line, they tend to knock down their free throws, and those easy points go a long way.
The shot's good from Lopez. Celtics leading by 3.
Tough season for Brook Lopez last year, guys. He broke his foot just before the season opener, needed surgery, and missed several months of action. So for a young player looking to take the next step in his progression, that was really a setback. That's flat out embarrassing.
Kickball call. Off his foot, and the ref's whistling a kickball. So for the Nets, Reggie Evans, he's checked in for Lopez. Marshawn Brooks comes in for Chris Humphries. And it's Watson in for Darren Williams. The Celtics also changing it up. Sullinger's checked in for Bass. Barbosa comes in for Courtney Lee. And it's Terry in for Rajon Rondo. And Brook Lopez actually only ended up playing 5 games last season after that injury.
Yeah, and for big men, you start talking about foot injuries, that can really be an issue. So hopefully it's behind him. You think about all the extra weight and torque that big guys put on their feet. Let's hope Brook Lopez, an outstanding offensive center, is healthy and as productive as he was his first couple of years going forward.
Here's Sullinger. A rebound by the Nets. Wallace has got 3 rebounds so far in the game. First chance of the season for them to go up against this Celtics team. Johnson gets the bucket. Johnson's got 7 points. They play the clock right, Steve. They can go 2 for 1.
Yeah, just have to time it right. Make sure you work the clock correctly and get 2 possessions out of this.
Now here's Terry. Buries it from three-point range.
Now we're getting used to seeing him hit those shots, aren't we?
It's 9 seconds separating the shot clock and game clock. Brooks with it. Barbosa picks him up. From deep, Johnson. And again, Brooklyn with the triple.
I think it's as simple as this, guys. Get him the ball. That's all you need to do. Give it to him.
Terry kicks to Green. Kicks it out to Terry. He passes to Pierce. Leads him in there. Here's Barbosa. Solid play in the low block, and that one's good.
Right out of the gate, just filling it up.
Both teams are, guys. I mean, points coming fast and furious.
That's good.
Marshawn Brooks for 2.
And here, and it's in.
The score.
Tie game in Brooklyn. Let's take a quick break now, and then it's on to the second quarter after this.
Next Wednesday.
Neither team able to build much of a lead up to this point as we start the second quarter. And looking at what we've seen so far from the Nets, what do you guys think?
It's been beautiful basketball to watch, guys. Really sharing and moving the ball, and as a result, they've got a great flow going.
Hand in glove, 5 guys working as one. The power of the fist, we call it. They've racked up a bunch of assists. You know, throughout the history of the NBA, the Celtics have been such a constant presence in the postseason that it's hard to imagine the playoffs without seeing the green. Every year the players change, but the Celtics mystique is always in it, and that team is always hanging around.
The duo inside, Chris Humphries and Brook Lopez. Johnson is out there with Darren Williams, and it's Brooks, and at the 3, the small forward. So that's the Nets 5. And let's now go to the sideline. We'll catch up here with Doris Burke. Doris?
Yes, gentlemen. Rajon Rondo, really the lifeblood of this Celtics team. We saw it in last year's playoffs. Teammate Paul Pierce called him the team's best player and predicted he'd be an MVP candidate. Doc Rivers said, "I think this is his team right now." Guys, Rondo, just in his mid-20s, just entering the prime of his career.
Well, nowhere to go but up. Thanks, Doris. And Bass, no good on that one. It's really the mark of a great franchise. Boston expects great things from the Celtics each year, and more often than not, Steve, they deliver.
Yeah, you don't get all those banners that they have in that building without executing in the postseason. That's what this Celtic team has done the last few years. They play together, they play hard, they defend, and they're at their best when their best is needed.
Gets the bucket.
And again, the lead changes hands.
Yep, back and forth we go, Steve. I mean, back and forth, neither side caving in.
Celtics leading by 3. Pass to Rondo. Over Watson. The offensive rebound. Green, the pass to Bass. Over Watson. And again, it's Boston converting.
Picture perfect with the turnaround. There's no stopping that shot.
I'll tell you guys, it's great to see Jeff Green back on the court after missing all of last season following very serious heart surgery. They repaired an aortic aneurysm, something that a few other NBA players have dealt with, including Ronnie Turioff. So hopefully he'll be healthy and back on his game this year. Well, he's an athletic 2-guard, Kevin, a good defender, great quickness. And he gets his share of steals. I'm a big fan of Courtney Lee.
Yeah, I like his commitment defensively, Steve. You're right on the money. Not one of those players who's just interested in glamour plays. When he plays, it is for 100% of the time, 100% of the effort. And the Nets making a change here. Wallace is checked in. The Celtics also changing it up. Pierce comes in for Sullinger. And it's Terry in for Rajon Rondo. And Jeff Green, kind of a combo forward, played a lot of power forward with the Thunder Clark, and more at small forward, it seems like, with the Celtics.
Well, I love his versatility. It's so valuable to have a guy like him, Kevin. I think he's a little better defensively on the perimeter than he is on the post, in the post rather, but coaches can look at the matchups and determine where to play them situation by situation, and he can add value to you.
Now, here's Green after the miss from Joe Johnson. And out of bounds as the Nets gain possession. Here on the 2K leaderboard are the rebounding leaders from a season ago. Well, you look at Humphries, a terrific rebound, 5th overall.
About the season he had in the paint. His rebounding numbers were mind-boggling.
Leandro Barbosa, he's checked in for Courtney Lee.
You know, he got one step ahead of the defense on that one. Excellent job.
I'll tell you, it had been some time coming, but really last year the dominant core that the Celtics had been built around started to show their age at times.
And the Celtics, Steve, as you mentioned, they seem to realize that their window is closing as the team got older. And Clark, there is some age on there, and hopefully they can navigate that and play a few more years together.
Yep. Well, at the trade deadline, they explored a lot of options to maybe try to get younger to bring some youth in, but they decided to stick with it. Had a strong playoffs, and now a new-look roster. Some new pieces, but still equipped to compete.
Here's what Brooklyn's going with right now. Brook Lopez is checked in for Evans. And it's Marshawn Brooks in for Joe Johnson. The Celtics also with a sub. Garnett's checked in. Good on the second free throw.
With the move to Brooklyn now complete, we can look back at how the Nets fared in terms of playoff appearances during their time in New Jersey. They did a decent job of getting to the playoff while in New Jersey.
The finals a couple times. Now here's Brooks. Gets the three-point performance.
3 points.
Brooks has got 5.
And that's his first three-pointer, so maybe that one will get him started.
He dishes it to Green. Three-pointer. Brooklyn with the rebound. And it was hard, Steve, when the Nets were in the ABA. They won the 3 titles in 5 years, but the New Jersey version just didn't have that same success.
Well, the best years for the Nets were probably when Jason Kidd was running the show back a few years ago. They made the finals in consecutive years. But now it's a chance to start new in Brooklyn, start something special. And they're going to bank on this new venue, new location to try to jumpstart their franchise.
From the sideline, let's catch up with Doris Burke.
Gentlemen, for the last 2 seasons, the Boston Celtics have been the worst offensive rebounding team in the league by percentage. They were 3rd worst in 2010. You might think it's by design, that they're more focused on transition defense, but according to Doc Rivers, that's not the case. That's been one of the biggest misunderstandings about our team. We've always told our bigs, if you're under the basket and we shoot, how about going to get it? Guys, the numbers don't lie.
Well, Doris, being a jump shooting team, probably less chances, but that's their identity. So the Celtics called timeout. They're first.
You know, the Nets have been kind of the punching bag in the Atlantic Division in recent years, but they improved within the division last year. And this year, I think the potential to be one of the top teams in the Atlantic. A lot of talent moving into the new building. A lot of energy for this franchise.
Here's what Brooklyn's going with right now. Reggie Evans, he's checked in for Humphries. Johnson comes in for Marshawn Brooks. And Darren Williams is subbed in for C.J. Watson.
You know, he's had his ups and downs in his career, but one thing about Darren Williams is that he consistently delivers in the fourth quarter. He seems to have that knack for knocking down the big shot when you need it.
Yeah, and make no mistake about it, Steve. When you talk about Darren Williams, you're talking about a guy who can get it going earlier in the game, too. He makes clutch plays, no doubt, but he can put numbers up on you in a hurry. He can go for half a hungy on you if you're not careful. His ability to take over games is what makes him a natural leader on the floor, and a guy his teammates have a lot of respect for. Well, it looks like he's cooled down a bit after hitting those 2 in the first quarter.
About 3 seconds between shot and game clock. Here's Barbosa, and it's blocked by Johnson. It's 2-on-1. Williams dishes to Wallace. Kicks it out to Johnson. Lopez. He feeds it to Williams. Johnson kicks to Lopez. Just 3 on the clock. Another one falls for Brooklyn.
Well, that's his shot. He is really proficient from that mid-range.
In a tight game here as we end the first half. 33 Nets lead by 2. 2K Sports back in a moment here in Brooklyn.
Now, presented by Sprint.
It's Thursday and just one more day until the weekend's officially here. But in the meantime, the Spurs battling in a close one.